The story begins with our main character reincarnating into a completely new world. As he steps outside, he observes his surroundings and tests his abilities by using his water element, forming water in his hand. In the next scene, he stands before an angel who tells him that this place is not the afterlife, it's simply been a long time since anyone arrived here. The angel replays the incident that caused Rio's death, and Rio realizes he truly died and is about to be reborn. When he asks what he must do in the new world, the angel replies that he is free to live however he wants. Rio says he just wants a peaceful life. The angel explains that the world he will be reborn into is called Fae, where some people can use magic. Though the number is small, Rio is most compatible with water magic, so he receives that ability. After reincarnating, Rio gets a small house and 2 months of food. Inside, he finds books about monsters and magic and notices he can easily read a language he has never seen before. After studying, he goes outside and practices water magic, even casting spells without chanting. Inside, he fills a bathtub using water magic but wonders how to heat it. After several failed attempts, he figures out how to create ice and uses it as a magnifying glass to start a fire. Relaxing in the warm bath, he considers whether he can produce hot water with his hands but decides to leave that thought for later. The next morning, he remembers the angel's warning he only has food for 2 months. After that, he must hunt on his own. But stepping outside the barrier could get him attacked by monsters, and he only has a knife, so he begins training attack magic. He forms water balls and water jets, but the power is low. The scene shifts back to the angel explaining that magic depends on imagination. The stronger the imagination, the stronger the spell. After training, Rio's water jet becomes powerful and travels farther. He even learns to produce hot water. Rio now tries creating offensive ice magic. At first, the ice crystals don't fly far, but after practice he becomes faster at forming them. Later, he leaves the barrier to gather materials and encounters a wild boar charging at him. Scared, he remembers magic exists here. He freezes the ground, causing the boar to slip into ice spikes and die. Back home, Rio reads more about monsters. He learns dragons are powerful enough to destroy entire cities and should be avoided at all costs. The book also mentions a fallen angel named Akuma, who is extremely dangerous, and meeting him means certain death. The scene changes. Rio explores the forest when a huge hawk attacks him. He uses ice shields to block air slashes and beak strikes. The hawk gets close, but Rio manages to protect himself until the creature retreats. While escaping, he even loses his way and later encounters a headless knight, which terrifies him. Over time, fighting various monsters strengthens his abilities, and even underwater he defeats a giant octopus. His water jet becomes strong enough to cut stone. Rio continues meeting the headless knight, who never harms him. Instead, Rio believes the knight is training him. One day, the knight hands him a sword before leaving, and Rio realizes he is meant to master it. Later, the evolved hawk returns. Rio forms 5, then 10 layers of shields, but all of them shatter under the hawk's attacks. The battle gets intense. Finally, Rio uses the sword to defeat the hawk, though he feels guilty for killing it and apologizes. Suddenly, a red dragon appears before him. Rio is terrified because the book said to run if a dragon appears, but the dragon speaks to him telepathically and asks if he recently met an evolved hawk. Nervously, Rio admits he killed it. The dragon is surprised and calls him an interesting human. When Rio shows him the sword, the dragon recognizes it immediately. It is the Fairy King's sword. If the knight gave Rio this weapon, it means he has acknowledged him. Rio spends the evening talking with the red dragon, and both of them get so lost in conversation that they don't notice the time pass. When Rio asks for his name, the dragon tells him it's Levin and flies away. Rio is surprised that he could talk to a dragon, and it becomes clear that in this fantasy world, anything can happen. Meanwhile, the angel checks Rio's stats and is shocked to discover a hidden trait: eternal youth, a rare ability last seen 10,000 years ago. It means Rio will never age. The next morning, Rio goes to the seaside to eat seafood and finds a broken boat with dead bodies around it. But a red-haired man suddenly wakes up. His name is Abel. He remembers how a giant octopus attacked their ship and dragged everyone underwater. Abel is shocked to see Rio appear without sensing him, but he doesn't mention it. Instead, Rio apologizes for not being able to save the others, though Abel says they were smugglers anyway. Inside the house, Abel eats hungrily. He notices Rio has only one set of clothes, but Rio explains he has no tools to make more. Abel is shocked to learn Rio lives here completely alone. When Rio shows a sample of his water magic, Abel is stunned. Less than half the people in the central province can use magic, and even he can't. Abel asks Rio to take him back to the location where they first met. Along the way, he asks why Rio doesn't use a magic staff. Rio casually says he doesn't have one. Abel tells him to stay behind him if any monsters appear, but Rio insists he will help too. When they return, the bodies are gone. Abel tries to find something but fails. Rio suggests Abel should head north to reach Lenir Town. Abel asks Rio to join him as a partner. He needs someone who knows the area. After thinking for a moment, Rio agrees. They consider themselves friends now. At sunset, Rio remembers everything that happened since he arrived in this world. Before leaving, he visits the Headless Knight one last time to thank him for training him. They fight once more, and Rio loses, but the knight gifts him a coat before disappearing. Rio proudly wears it. As Rio and Abel depart, a wild boar appears. Abel instantly takes it down with a combat skill. Rio learns these are special techniques used by swordsmen, which mages usually don't know. They travel further but run into lizard monsters. Abel warns they're dangerous and should be avoided, but Rio senses many of them approaching through the water. He uses his magic to defeat all of them easily, shocking Abel because Rio uses neither a staff nor incantations. Rio shares water with Abel before they continue. Abel shows him the country's currency and explains various empires, including one called Debua. Suddenly, stones fly at them from all directions. They've wandered into a rock golem nest. Abel uses combat skills, but the golem regenerates quickly. Rio drops a 10-layer ice ball on it, crushing it completely. Abel is stunned by the attack. After collecting the golem's magic stone, they move on and witness a massive behemoth fighting a swarm of wyverns. Abel thinks the beast will lose, but Rio disagrees. Moments later, the behemoth roars and overpowers all the wyverns. That night, they sit by a campfire while Abel explains what dungeons are and how they function. Their destination town even has a large dungeon. Rio doesn't know what elves or dwarves are, so Abel explains that too. Crossing the mountains brings them close to human territory, and both smile with relief. Soon, they discover a road, and Abel realizes they are close to town. Inside an inn, he suggests Rio should become an adventurer. Registered adventurers don't have to pay entrance fees and can sell magic stones directly to the guild for good money. Since Abel paid for Rio earlier, he insists it will help him earn. Their food arrives hot, and Rio digs in immediately. Rio quickly finishes his food, and after spending a little time in town, he and Abel finally leave for Lenir Town. After a short journey, they reach the gates. The guard is excited to see Abel alive. Abel tells him that Rio saved his life, and the guard thanks Rio, holding his hand for a long time. After paying Rio's entry fee, they go inside. Abel explains how adventurer ranks work. Everyone starts at F rank, but higher ranks like B receive dangerous quests and higher pay. He tells Rio not to worry about money since he has plenty of magic stones. They reach the guild, and everyone happily greets Abel. Seeing how famous Abel is, Rio decides to wait outside. While standing there, he meets a girl who stares at him and comments that his outfit looks like the Fairy King's. She says the Fairy King must trust him a lot and leaves, promising to meet again. Rio is confused about what just happened. Abel calls him inside and introduces him to everyone, saying Rio wants to become an adventurer. Everyone surrounds Rio and thanks him, which makes him smile. Abel brings Rio to Nina, the guild receptionist, and says he wants to endorse him for a D rank. Nina is surprised and says Rio must prove his physical strength. She leaves to call the guild master. In the meeting room, guild master Hugh arrives happily. Abel explains that Rio saved his life and asks for his rank to be raised. Hugh agrees only if Rio can prove his strength. Abel insists Rio is stronger than him, but Hugh doesn't believe it. When Rio shows the wyvern magic stones, Hugh is shocked. So many wyverns usually require an entire army to defeat. Abel casually adds that they even crossed the mountains afterward. Hugh is stunned. No one has ever crossed those mountains. Abel asks if the stones are enough for Rio's rank up. Hugh quickly agrees. Rio completes the registration with Hugh, and Nina takes his interview before handing him an official guild card. Rio is now an adventurer. Abel then takes him out to pay him for acting as a guide. As they walk, Abel tells him he planned to buy him a staff. Rio says he doesn't need one, he casts magic without it and uses a sword in close combat. Abel is shocked and thinks Rio is holding a dagger, not realizing it's actually a sword. Rio also begins understanding the world better. Days, months, measurements, and even the food feel similar to his original world. He wonders if someone from Earth came here long ago. Later, everyone celebrates Abel's return. Nina takes Rio to his room, where he meets his roommates. She returns with another adventurer, now 4 live together. The scene shifts to Crimson Party discussing Rio. They don't believe water magic can be that powerful. Abel tells them the only person with magic at Rio's level is the Inferno magician said to destroy armies and erase towns from maps. Ree says if Abel's words are true, Rio is extremely strong. Lin feels worried if Rio joins the Debua Empire. It could be dangerous. Abel laughs and says Rio doesn't even like the name Debua, shocking everyone. Next, Rio attends a dungeon course. After theory, the teacher announces they'll enter a real dungeon that evening. Ammon, Rio's roommate, panics. Rio asks if instant travel exists. The teacher confirms such dungeons exist in the south. Ammon is shocked Rio even knows about it. That evening, they reach the dungeon in the center of the city. The teacher explains that monster numbers increase every year and double security is placed to stop monsters from entering town. Rio understands the outer town wall protects them from major threats. After checking in at the guild office, they enter the dungeon. The teacher says the first layer has no deadly monsters, so they can explore freely. As Rio and Ammon walk, Rio senses a monster ahead, a soldier ant, exactly like the book described. He freezes it, and Ammon finishes it with a sword slash. They collect its magic stone. Back at the guild, everyone celebrates their first success. Nils teases them about defeating a soldier ant on their first attempt. They plan to return tomorrow and reach the 3rd layer. Rio worries why such a monster appeared on the 1st floor, but no one else understands. Abel arrives and explains soldier ants can dig tunnels and appear anywhere. He introduces himself, but everyone already knows him. Nils, a sword master, shyly asks Abel for a handshake, which makes him extremely happy.
This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.